What defines beauty in Japanese culture isn't always obvious. There's a deeper layer, a quiet philosophy that shapes how beauty is seen, felt, and lived. Japanese architect and designer Masayuki Kurokawa proposed a unique way to understand this sensibility. He identified 8 aesthetic consciousnesses that capture the essence of Japanese aesthetics. In this video, we'll explore these 8 concepts one by one, and you might find they change the way you see beauty too. The character B means subtle, delicate, or faint. In Japanese aesthetics, B represents a deep sensitivity to things that are barely noticeable. The quiet, almost invisible details that often go unrecognized unless we truly slow down and pay attention. This kind of beauty doesn't announce itself. It hides in the background, in the spaces between things, in fleeting sensations or the texture of a surface. It's the feeling you get from the fading sound of a temple bell, the soft shadow cast by a paper screen, or the way a single brushstroke is left intentionally imperfect. Masayuki Kurokawa explains that there's a Japanese expression that captures this idea. Sacredness lives in subtlety. In Japanese culture, it's believed that a creator's soul isn't revealed through grand gestures, but through the smallest touches, through what is refined, restrained, and almost unspoken. You can see this in everything from traditional architecture to everyday objects. B reminds us that true beauty isn't always visible at first glance. Sometimes it's only when we slow down, quiet our minds, and look closely that we begin to notice what's truly there. The character Hei means side by side or in parallel. In Japanese aesthetics, it reflects a deep cultural tendency to allow multiple elements, even opposing ones, to coexist without conflict. This mindset appears throughout Japanese life. Christian churches and Buddhist temples can be found in the same neighborhoods. The writing system blends kanji, hiragana, and katakana, each serving a different role, but all working together in harmony. Rather than insisting on a single correct way, Hei values coexistence, balance, and inclusion without hierarchy. You can even see this idea at the dinner table. In many Japanese homes or traditional meals, each person might use different tableware, not because of social status, but simply because everyone has different preferences. One person might prefer a shallow bowl, another a deep one. There's no pressure to match. Instead, there's a quiet respect for what suits each person best. In a world where binary thinking and polarization are common, Hei presents a different kind of wisdom. It offers a worldview where difference is not a problem to solve, but a form of beauty to be respected. The character Ki refers to energy, spirit, or atmosphere. It's a concept deeply rooted in East Asian philosophy, often described as the invisible life force that flows through people, objects, and spaces. In Japanese aesthetics, Ki isn't about loudness or dramatic movement. It's about a subtle presence, a quiet, felt energy that can be sensed even when nothing is said or done. It's the stillness in a room, the unspoken feeling between two people, the atmosphere that surrounds a moment. You can feel Ki in a well-composed tea room where every detail contributes to a sense of quiet focus. You can see it in the stillness of a no actor whose posture alone conveys strength and presence. Even a bonsai tree, shaped over years with care and attention, holds a sense of quiet energy that feels alive in its stillness. In everyday life, this awareness appears in the way people interact. In Japanese culture, there's an expression often used, reading the air. It means sensing the unspoken, being attuned to the mood of a situation, and responding with subtle awareness. It reflects a way of moving through the world with sensitivity, not just to others, but to the atmosphere itself. Ki reminds us that beauty isn't only about appearance. It's also about how something feels, how it fits within its environment, and how it quietly moves those who experience it. If you've seen our previous video, the concept of ma might already feel familiar. This unique idea is woven throughout Japanese culture and appears even more frequently than wabisabi. The character ma is often translated as space, gap, or pause, but in Japanese aesthetics, ma is more than just empty space. It's the meaningful interval between things. It's what gives structure, rhythm, and feeling to everything around it. Masayuki Kurokawa suggests that when we observe people or objects only from a broad, distant perspective, it becomes impossible to truly perceive the essence of ma. The heart of ma lies in subtle relationships, and that sensitivity begins with B, the aesthetic consciousness of subtlety. In other words, the path to understanding ma starts with noticing small details. For example, we can only perceive the space between people once we recognize the individuals themselves. Likewise, it's only when a single distinct note exists that we can sense the pause or nuance between that note and the next. When we view things only from a collective or overarching standpoint, ma disappears. In fact, Kurokawa even suggests that the idea of a singular, unified whole should not exist at all. At its core, ma is about appreciating the value of emptiness. It teaches us that not everything needs to be filled, explained, or shown. Sometimes what's left unsaid or unfilled is where the most meaning lies. The character he means secret or hidden. In Japanese aesthetics, he refers to the idea of intentionally concealing part of something to spark the viewer's imagination and creativity. Rather than revealing everything openly, he embraces mystery, suggestion, and subtlety. It creates space not just for interpretation, but for personal participation. Masayuki Kurokawa explains that hiding part of a work is not about withholding. It's an invitation. The creator doesn't expect the viewer to see the work exactly as they do. Instead, they hope the viewer will bring their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and in doing so, become part of the creative process. In this way, Japanese aesthetics do not always aim for precise communication. There is no single correct interpretation. Instead, there's a quiet belief that something in the viewer's heart will naturally resonate with the creator's intention. Art becomes complete through that shared experience, through presence, imagination, and mutual sensitivity. A beautiful example of he is Hasegawa Tohaku's Pine Tree screen painting. Much of the screen is left blank, allowing the viewer's eyes and mind to wander into the mist. That emptiness and soft concealment express both ma and he, drawing each viewer into their own personal encounter with the work. Ultimately, he reflects a gentle voice from the artist to the viewer. Be yourself, understand this work in your own way. The character so means plain, unadorned, or raw. In Japanese aesthetics, it reflects the idea that the most beautiful things are those kept in their natural state. Ideally, nothing unnecessary is added. Instead, everything exists as part of something larger, balanced and harmonious. Masayuki Kurokawa explains that the Japanese tend to experience the world through their senses, not just through thought. What matters most is how to bring out the natural qualities of a material. The question is not how to decorate something, but how to let its essence quietly shine through. This is the foundation of Japanese design, to allow materials to express their own vitality through simple, honest forms. Many say that Japanese aesthetics are defined by minimalism. But in truth, minimalism is not the goal. It's the natural outcome of respecting the material and removing what isn't needed. Simplicity is not a style. It's a result of intention and restraint. Take the kimono, for example. Its shape rarely changes, it's consistent and simple. Yet the variety comes from the fabric, the weaving, and the subtle use of color. The beauty lies not in the form, but in the richness of the materials themselves. This is why the idea that Japanese people just like minimalism doesn't tell the whole story. The simplicity in Japanese design comes from a deep respect for material and a reluctance to force creativity or show off technical skill. Instead, there's an appreciation for what is honest, quiet, and essential. Kurokawa reminds us that so is not just about how something looks. It's about revealing what lies at the core. It's the texture of raw linen, the grain of unfinished wood, the quiet presence of something that has nothing to prove. In a world full of branding, decoration, and noise, so brings us back to the essence. It invites us to value things and people, not for how they perform or present, but for what they truly are. This is also why Japanese product design remains so influential. It never strayed from this core aesthetic, a deep respect for material, for simplicity, and for authenticity. This is the spirit of So. When we think of beauty, we often imagine things that are original, natural, or untouched. But in Japanese aesthetics, beauty can also be found in what is artificial, temporary, or imitative. This idea is captured by the concept of ka. The word ka can mean imitation, temporary, or artificial. At first, these might sound negative, as if they suggest something fake, but in Japanese culture, ka reflects something more thoughtful. It's about beauty that is intentionally constructed or recreated with care and meaning. In this sense, imitation isn't just copying. It's a way of engaging with tradition, honoring the past while creating something new. To imitate well is to reinterpret, to renew, and to give old forms new life. This sensibility is beautifully expressed in kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Rather than hiding the cracks, kintsugi highlights them. The break becomes part of the story. The object isn't restored to what it was, it's transformed into something more meaningful. We see this idea in architecture and nature too, in weathered wood, aged walls, or stone paths shaped by time. These aren't untouched natural forms, nor are they perfectly artificial. They're shaped by both people and the world around them, and that's where the beauty lies. At its core, ka reflects the idea of impermanence, that nothing lasts forever. This belief, rooted in Buddhism, encourages us to accept change and find grace in what is temporary or incomplete. Closely tied to wabisabi, which values imperfection and age, ka reminds us that authenticity isn't limited to what's pure or original. It can also be found in what's built, repaired, or lovingly reimagined. The character ha means to break, to tear apart, or to disrupt. In Japanese aesthetics, it represents the moment when an established form is intentionally broken, not for rebellion's sake, but to go beyond tradition and create something new. This idea is based on the belief that you can only break a form after you've fully understood it. In other words, you must first study a tradition and master its rules. Only then can you begin to challenge and transform it into something new. Masayuki Kurokawa described ha not as destruction, but as creative energy. It's about breaking through limits and reshaping what's inherited in a way that speaks to the present moment. Importantly, ha doesn't reject tradition, it builds on it. You can only break a form meaningfully once you've studied and respected it. In this way, Transformation honors the spirit of the original while pushing it forward. It reminds us that real creativity sometimes means breaking the rules, and that beauty can be found not only in stillness, but also in boldness, tension, and change. These 8 aesthetic consciousnesses offer more than just a way to understand Japanese art and design. They invite us to slow down and look more closely. Whether it's in the way we create, observe, or simply move through daily life, these ideas offer a new way of seeing. They help us notice the things we often overlook, and in doing so, they may quietly change how we experience the world and ourselves. Which of the 8 resonated most with you? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.